HHDG. What up, peace, everybody? It's your boy, the mayor, that DJ named Ace5, your mom's favorite fat guy, all the way from deepest, darkest Africa. Y'all seeing my face again. I'm back. Ian's been holding it down. This is HHDG Media, the podcast. And tonight, before we get into who our special guests are, what's up, Wiki?
Peace, man. Happy early Father's Day.
Yeah, man. Happy Father's Day to you, too. And happy Father's Day to one half of our special guest. Our homie Ben, not going to give the full government, but I need you to pronounce your rap name for the people.
I'm going to be real with you. Oh, and what up? What up, though? That's the standard Detroit greeting, right?
That's right.
If you didn't know. And happy Father's Day, for real.
Yes,
because you know the fathers get pimped on this day. Nobody even remembers it. Mother's Day, they all remember Mother's Day, but nobody remembers Father's Day. But that's okay. We'll hold it down. It's Calcei. I don't know the pronunciation. I just say it's Calcei because it sounds good. Nobody knows how to pronounce it, but I say Calcei. Calcei.
We'll get back to the origins of that in a minute because we need. As I was listening to the Bowling League album, and yes, we're here talking. First off, we're talking with homies. We're talking with friends that we're finally seeing on camera first and foremost. But we've been down at least for the last 6+ years now via this beautiful group that we call HHDG. It can be a beautiful nightmare, a beautiful travesty for some, but for the great majority, it's been a beautiful home meeting place for a bunch of us, became a business for the two of us here. You know, it started a family for one of us here. I'm pointing that way to the screen.
Oh, word? You know? I didn't know that.
Oh man, you late in the history of the group then. but yeah, man, before we go any further, man, give us the breakdown of the name Calcei.
So back in 2009, I hooked up with. So I'm from Detroit, Metro Detroit. I was teaching in Detroit. I taught in Detroit for 16 years. I was working with some local rappers, artists. They came in my third grade class, and they were working with my students. They're like in their early 20s, right? So I'd take them out for lunch. That's how I'd kind of pay them back for helping out my students. We were writing rhymes and poetry, and we ended up performing. And I was heavily into sneakers at the time, kind of like, you might call it a habit.
I'm familiar.
You might call it an addiction. Anyway, so we'd go out to lunch and we just kick it and talk about whatever. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna make a whole. There he is. I'm gonna make a whole album, an EP about sneakers. And they're like, oh shit, yeah, do it, or I'm gonna steal that. So I've been deeply involved with the Detroit hip hop scene and for quite a while, but I never had rapped. I was just like being a fan. And I'm like, okay, so I need a name. So I looked up what is Latin for sneakers, and it's Calcei. And I'm like, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but I think it sounds fly to say Calcei. So I said, let's call that Calcei. So people pronounce it all sorts of different ways, but it's Calcei, and that means shoes in Latin. And my first EP I made was Laces In, Tongues Out. And I worked with this dude, Sheefy McFly from Detroit, who's an artist, and he's an artist, a producer, like a visual artist. He does paintings, he does murals, he does ghetto tech music, he does hip hop. He's like kind of a Detroit legend at this point. And he used to have a show called The Air up there in Detroit that was a weekly showcase. And here's my man Archives over here.
Well, if you see the screen, the shared screen, I pulled up a nice little website. Let's figure out, not to call you out, but let's check out the pronunciation. Let's see what it gives us.
Let's hear it.
Oh man, you know what? I fucked up. I'll come back to that because I forgot to press share audio. I forgot to press share audio, y'all. So, but yeah, what up, archives?
Yo, what's going on,
Peace,
fellas?
peace.
What's happening?
Chicago in the house.
Man, thanks for having us.
Town.
I appreciate it. It's good to see y'all, brothers.
Yeah, word up.
You as well, man.
I got everything connected right before we get
Okay.
to it. Let's get to this.
I don't care what it says though, because I'm gonna
No, I
pronounce
feel
it.
you. I feel you. I feel you.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Let's go.
Calcei.
It said Calcei.
LCI.
Calcei.
All right. All right. Well, Calcei, fuck what they said.
Right.
Right.
Now we got the homie Omar, aka DJ Archives. What's going on with you, good brother?
Man, I'm just chilling, man. I'm just chilling. Happy to be here.
I see
You know?
you chilling like you got the old man looking to the camera like how you like newfangled thing like
It's a
come
it's
on,
a
tech
long
wizard.
story. It's a long story. I had to do this from my phone because
Nah, all good.
yeah.
All
my
good,
bad.
all good. So give the people who you are, where you're from, and the origins of your name.
You know what? I got my name from my man Now and Then, who is currently in the group Dip Diver. One day, I don't know, we were just it was so long ago, man. It was at least 20 years ago. But we were just talking and he was like, yo, man, he was like, it's just, the knowledge that you have with these records and how far it goes back. A lot of people they say, go in the crates. Like back then everybody was talking about digging on the crates and everything. And he was like, man, he was like, we ain't going in the crates. We going all the way to the archives. And so, that's where it came from. Now and Then, my man Marvin Childress,
Dope.
and Dip Diver. Yeah, so I'm from Chicago, South Side. I started DJing in, believe it or not, the 80s. My older brother, Remix Rob, started DJing way back when he was in high school. And, he's 7 years older than me. So when he graduated high school in 84, he left me his turntables and I was 11. So, I was just like, okay, let me see what I could do with these, so the rest is history. I just took it from there.
You got his records too?
I do have some of his records. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I most definitely do.
Dope.
He would have never forgave me if I gave some of his records, if I gave his records away.
Isn't that how it always goes? Somebody's got to pay it forward, right?
Yeah.
If
definitely.
you don't have pops or the older brothers passing on the records, you kind of feel left out, right?
Most definitely.
In some cases that's true because in many other cases it's I'm taking all my shit with me, but you can get all of them when you need to, but I'm keeping my joints, man.
Well, no, you're gonna give them to your kids.
He couldn't do that because he went to the Navy, so they couldn't. He couldn't.
I got all Pops records, all of them. Come on.
He needed something to come home to, so
right.
With you because I trust you, right? And then he came home and you was better than him.
That's kind of what happened. And he would tell you that. That's kind of what happened. Nice, I would never say that, but he would say that.
Nice. So Ben, now let's get into you. Pause. What got you into rhyming? You gave us the little brief story about how you came with the name and it had to do with rhyming, but I'm sure it goes back further than 2009.
Yeah, everybody knows about Detroit hip hop, but coming up, I got into probably like 90 was when I really started getting heavily into hip hop, and that was with De La. De La Soul is Dead was probably my favorite album at the time, and I Wish My Brother George Was Here by Dell. So those were my joints. And then by the time I graduated, I started going to I don't know if you you probably all have heard of this, but the Shelter. That was in 8 Mile. That was not how it actually was. It was called 3 Floors of Fun. It was at St. Andrew's Hall. The shelter was the bottom, and then what you would have in the middle floor was the DJs. I'm sure you've heard of house shoes.
Absolutely.
We've all heard of house shoes, and he would spin DJ Q, a bunch of other DJs, and then on the top floor you'd have the b-boys, the break dancers, and whatnot. So I started going in '93 to Andrews with some of my people, and they were into producing. My dude 558, rest in peace. He passed away quite a few years ago now. They had a group called Unplugged Roots. So I used to listen to their tapes, and I used to go up to Street Corner Music. You've heard the label Street Corner Music. Well, that was actually a place in Southfield, which is right next to Detroit, which is about a mile from my house. So I'd spend a lot of time up there. I'd talk to, Shoes about the Detroit scene, buy the latest tapes, got the Eminem, before he was Eminem, got the Slum Village Fantastic Volume 1 on cassette. So, I didn't rhyme though. I didn't intend to. They tried to get me to. I was like, nah, I just like to be in the scene. And then I kind of got out of the scene a little bit when I got into college and after. And then, like I said, when I started teaching, I ran into people that I had been involved with, like Joe Fluent Green, who was a poet, MC. He ran at something called, you ever, Cafe Mahogany? You all heard of that? Do you remember Dwelle's album? Met This Girl from Mahogany.
Okay.
That shit was every Tuesday night. Trust me, the women from Mahogany. That was nice. So I ran into him again in maybe like 2008, 9. And he started coming into my classroom because I was teaching in Detroit public schools I taught there for 16 years. And then, like I said, some local MCs, some young guys who were in their early 20s, Sheefy McFly, Microphone Phelps, they were poets and MCs and artists, and they were working with my kids. And then after all these years just being in the scene and being involved with it and being friends with people in the Detroit hip hop scene, I said I was going to make that album, the sneaker EP, Laces In, Tongues Out. I had no idea what I was doing. I went to Sheefy's, his crib. He just put a mic in the middle of the table. He'd have his people sitting on the couch, and he's like, "Okay, rhyme." I'm like, "Oh shit." So I kind of just went into it to make this EP about sneakers, and then I just caught the bug. Like I can't get rid of it now. It's like anytime I think I want to stop, I just start writing again, and I get an idea, and then it's like it gets in your blood. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop can't. Once you got it in there, it doesn't go away. So ever since about 2009, I've been putting out albums, probably about one a year. I'm always writing. Like I said, I'm a teacher. On my breaks, summer breaks, whatever, I try to write 10 tracks every break and get to the studio. I'm in Sacramento now. I moved out of Detroit in about 2015, moved to South Florida. I still found places to record there. I found people to work with. I made a lot of connections over the internet with lots of producers, and that's how I met Archives too, with this group plus offshoot groups. We all know WIA 2 and WI 2.0 and Frequency 432, and so Archives, we met just chopping it up, and he did some cuts on my album What Starts Today, and then we got into the pandemic, and I was I had like a good month off of work, so I was heavily creative, and I just kind of got this idea like like we're all kind of a certain age, like 40 plus, right? And so I was like, it'd be dope. Like most people, what is a stereotypical 40-year-old dude do? It's like they joined the bowling league, right? They joined the bowling league. So I was like, yo, we should do an album and call ourselves the Bowling League, because we're not doing the bowling thing, but we're still got that hip hop. That hip hop still is in our blood, and it's something that we deeply care about. And you know, and I also started thinking about how many artists now are just thriving in their 40s. I mean, you all listened to the what had happened was with LP. He's 45, right? Who thought when Fun Crusher Plus came out that LP would still be like killing shit
That's
right
true.
now?
Right.
And who thought that Prince Paul would be on a podcast at 52 years old and we don't even like, we're just really discovering how deep some of these dudes are and how much they have to offer us. And we were told when we were kids that rap was a young man's game, and that's kind of just the way I thought of it. And if we really just push all these elders and all these people to the side, how much we would have lost to the culture and to the world, right? If we just stopped and said, oh well, we got to move into something else.
But there's a part of that though. It's still happening today though, where the youth of today, in some respects, you can see and feel that they kind of push the elders to the side, but it's more in the lane of the radio / commercial label of rap music. Like those are the ones just like, you know what, get out of the way and it's our turn to make this money. In some respects, that's kind of what it looks like. And then when you hear interviews from a lot of these young artists, these little artists and all that other stuff, it's you hear that, like you hear I didn't grow up on this, I didn't grow up on that. And that also kind of just speaks to who they were around, what were their environments like. But yeah, like who would have thought LP was going to be like finally crack that mainstream appeal?
Superstardom.
40,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Who would have thought? I mean, like use Fun Crusher Plus, 8 Steps to Perfection. Like that's my shit. Like who would have thought that guy would be household name at this time?
Right.
You know, it's crazy. It's
selling
crazy.
out major shows.
Yes.
Right.
Household name.
Cadillac commercial.
Kids throwing up the Run Your Jewels hands.
Jewels hands on.
What, 20 years old. Like what? But that just proves it. It's not about the age at all. Like it's just not about the age. And these people are still extremely successful even.
Well, well, Jay-Z proves that at freaking 50. Still smoking cats off on the mic without even putting pen to paper. And he hasn't done that for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
You know? But Jay is an anomaly. But influences are an anomaly because we all kind of went through influences. You actually mentioned a couple of yours, which was De La and your man who inspired you as a poet. And being totally fair and honest, I hear that in your style. From the years that you've been sending us music and stuff, like I can tell, like your rhyme style, in my opinion, is poetry over a beat.
Yeah.
And your delivery kind of carries as like spoken word almost.
The funny thing is though, I never wrote poetry, but I write. I'm a writer. Like I've written my whole life, and words are extremely important to me. And I've always been a pretty prolific writer. So putting it on this is putting on a beat and being able to put it out is also therapy for me and a way to express myself. And we've been through 20 years of work, family, and what have you. And if you don't have that ability to have that release and creativity, and it makes life pretty dull, right?
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Yeah, it's very hard, man. It's very hard not having that outlet, not being able, especially for a creative person, not being able to get that out in some kind of way. It's torture. It's like it's a prison.
Yeah. Also, I mean, and also too, because like you said, mentioning as creators, and I was going to go to you and your influences archives as a DJ, like not being able to get it out, but also when you are like, my trouble was standing in front of them turntables and constantly practicing, and it's like hours and hours on end, and not being able to get that scratch and get that one sound. That it gets frustrating too. That makes you just say, you know what, fuck this, and you almost want to flip the table and just quit for a second.
Definitely, you gotta. One thing about that, and I think it goes it goes in different directions with a lot of people being creatives. You got to learn to embrace those mistakes. You got to learn to like accidentally find something and be like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to use that. I was, like they say, shoot for the moon, and you end up among the stars. You were aiming for one thing, but you ended up with something completely different. Because I've had people like come to me like a song I did. I did cut song for No ID, and my friends, everybody at that time there was a scratch out called the Flare. DJ Flair created it, and
Yep.
guys like Qbert and
Mhm.
ISP, they, perfected it and made it, popular. Right? It took off because of them.
Yeah.
To the
And
moon.
we all had our, we all tried to do it, and we couldn't do it the same way they did it, our own. And this scratch that I did on No ID's record, it was like people were like, what were you even doing? I don't know what I was hearing. Like like they were trying to figure out like what exactly I was doing. And even Doug Infinite told me, he was like, Joe Sinister came to me like, dude, what he want to know what you did. You gotta let him know what you did. And and the thing is, it wasn't anything I was trying to do. I like anybody that knows me knows I work a lot. Like I'm a 9 to 5 guy. I work a lot.
9 to
So
5. What? 9,000.
nine, yeah, nine to nine the next day. So at the time I was like, we were like No ID Studio was in his house in his basement, and he literally lived 200 blocks away from me. So I was working 8, 12 hours a day, and then I would go straight to his house, and we would be out there, and I'd be trying to learn from him and recording and going through all these things. And I would be out there 8 hours, and then I would go home and sleep 2 hours and go back to work. So I was just in. I don't even know how I came up with what I did. It's just something that happened, and Dion was like, okay, well, we're gonna keep that. I like that. And I think like I could still do it, but on that day, if he'd asked me to do it again, I wouldn't have been able to do it again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Those are those once in a lifetime type
Yeah, it was
type
just
joints.
something that happened.
Yeah, but true indeed. But like you mentioned though, with the shoot for the moon, you're amongst the stars, and you just got to keep trying. Let's keep it real.
Yeah,
We might not have ever gotten a scratch if Theodore never just accidentally whoop.
right, right, right. And that's the thing, the most beautiful creations come from accidents.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, to a point. True indeed.
you
But
know.
get into it now with yourself. Now, who has been some of your like DJ influences
Um,
besides your brother?
okay. Besides Rob, very very good friend of mine, Chris Flowers, DJ Diamond Cut. He's a member of HHDG. He kind of so like when my brother went to the Navy, um, I'm from Chicago, so it was like everybody's playing house, and Robbie, he played house music. So I kind of like took up the whole DJ mantle, but I was like, house is cool. I don't have anything against it, but I want to play hip hop. So I went out. I started buying hip hop records. I started buying doubles of records, but I didn't really know what to do with them. Like I would see the DMC videotapes, that were going around and stuff like that, and I kind of had an idea, but my man Chris Diamond Cut, I met him. I was in college, and he was there's like a cafeteria, like lounge chill area. And it's called the Link, Triton College, and I walked through the Link one day, and that's where everybody just hung out, played cards or whatever. And there's a DJ in there, and this dude, I'm like, okay, that's different. So I'm checking this dude out, and he was just cutting up Run DMC live at the Fun House. Like the very beginning, where D is like 1, 2, 3, and he was juggling that, and he had it going like 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, and I was like, what is this dude doing? So I was like, okay, this ain't like a formal atmosphere or nothing. It's just a cafeteria, and this dude is pretty much up here. Not a whole lot of people are standing around him. I just walked over. I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to see what you're doing. I want to figure this out. So he was like, all right, cool, man. And him being the person that he is, extremely good person, he was just like, yo, okay, you know what? Here's my number. Hit me up. I live right around the corner. We could, I could show you how to do this. So because of him, he showed me how to mark my records. He showed me, what to do. He showed me how to loosen my fader up. He showed me, all of the tricks that we used to use. And he
WD-40,
eventually, huh?
Yep.
WD-40 or Vaseline.
The K lube, this stuff called K lube.
Oh shit!
It's yeah, it's an electronic spray. It's kind of like made for that, but not specifically for loosening up faders. But it's an electronics lubricant called CAIG, CAIG, like Craig without an R. But and we did go through the WD-40, and all that stuff too. But he showed me all that stuff. And he finally ended up introducing me to 33 and a third, my man Thomas Johnson. We became, good friends too. And, we used to all get together and we would go to Chris's house or come to my house or sometimes go to Thomas' house and just battle each other, and those two guys, my man Tootie, Evie, Spin, Ram. There's a lot of guys that, really did a lot. Tone Be Nimble. Twilight Tone. Like Twilight Tone was the premier hip hop DJ in Chicago, and he still is one of the best hip hop DJs in the country. Now doing production. But those are guys that I listened to, growing up, that I interacted with, that I knew. And then you had like Jazzy Jeff, Qbert, Mixmaster Mike. Babu was a big influence, from the Beat Junkies. Rock Raider was a huge influence. Rob Swift, huge influence. Hell of a dude. Just those guys. I remember listening to like Evil D on the, when I would be able to get like mixtapes, things like that. Cause I wanted to be like well-rounded. A lot of DJs either went in the direction of like a scratch DJ doing tricks or like a party DJ, like, Ron G or Clue or somebody like that. And I wanted to do both. I felt like, I could do both.
Yeah.
So
I think almost no real DJ in some respects can't not do both. Now,
right.
I kind of was one of those who fell in that lane of fuck these parties. I like turntablism better.
Yeah.
I'll give you a brief story on why I said fuck these parties. One of the last parties I did the Sweet 16 for somebody, basement party, right?
Yeah,
everybody. Yeah, well, everybody in school knew I was a DJ. One of the first lessons that I learned on my own was the old, you don't take requests. Do you think?
Yep.
But the girl was pretty. It was a Sweet 16. But I was friends with her brother. I was friends with her, friends with her brother. Like my brother, we tried to hook my brother up with her one time when we was younger and all that stuff. But at her party, this is when the Bruck Up was the Bruck Up and the Harlem Shake. So this is when Get Money was out and the Showtime rhythm, the Bruck Out rhythm, all of that came out, right? And that was one of the things that we did. Like I know my people on Staten Island, because we kind of almost shared a similar story of we learned off of friends of ours. Like I started off my boy Flip in his basement, rocking on his turntables and all that. So back to fast forward to the thing. They would just wanted to battle all night with the dances. So I played Black Rob's Whoa, Jadakiss. I think it was knocked the girl out or whatever. I think it was that one. Played
Oh
G
yeah,
Dep,
knock yourself out.
played
Yeah.
G Dep, and I played these 2 dance hall rhythms, all for a great majority towards the end of the night. I played all the rap joints at least 6 times, plus at least 3 or 4 times with the instrumentals, just because they wanted to battle. When I did that, that made me say, I am no longer doing the party ever fucking again. I did that shit because so I fell in that lane of I wanted to do one or the other, but you're right. A really good DJ knows how to do both. And the way the DJ game is now, like it's so different. It's like you mentioned Rob Swift. We hosted Rob Swift out here on Staten Island a few years back. Y'all remember the pictures and all of that. We paid them to people came in not knowing what they were getting into. A great majority of the crowd knew what they were getting into. A couple people came in that weren't like affiliated with us or anything. They were digging it, but they didn't know what they were getting into. They put on an hour set of turntablism that you was still able to dance to because the people that didn't know what they were getting into were still able to dance to it. And then when you look at these world DJs now where they're just there like and just doing this and everybody is just staring at the DJ. So it's like and most of the DJs that are doing that can do turntablism, can kill a party, can do a little bit of everything else. So yeah, it's always great to be versatile, as you mentioned.
Right.
But you mentioned DMCs before we get to Ian and some of his questions next. You mentioned DMCs. What was your favorite year of DMC? Because we used to sit and kill them, watch them tapes night in and night out, day in and day out.
Man, I would have to say when that original ISP team, that first tip where it was just like, why are there 3 of them up there?
Cuba, Mixmaster Mike, and
Mixmaster Mike and Shortcut. I think it was Shortcut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
When they because they were the last ones to go, and we were like, why are there 3 of them? What are they about to do? And one was up there drumming. One was
and they murdered
incredible. And the first one that I ever saw, and I probably watched it, I wore that tape out, was with Cutmaster Swift. One of the very first, I think he may have been the first hip hop DJ to get into it.
DJ Cheese was the first winner.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. I man, don't even tell Cheese I said that. Because he's in Chicago. He's in Chicago a lot. And I don't want him to find me. Because if y'all know Cheese, I don't want Cheese mad at me. But yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Cheese definitely was the first. But that one that Cutmaster Swift was the first one that I saw. And I was just like, this is crazy. I got to learn how to do this.
Yeah, the first I seen was 95. The one Rob Swift. I mean, no, not Rob Swift. Rock Raider.
Rock Raider.
But
that was with the going back to Cali routine.
I think
it might have been.
It might have been that one. But 96 was my favorite one. 96 and then 97 was my favorite one. When DJ Noise, chopped up and just I rest in peace, Rock Raider, but Noise got him. And Rock Raiders routine was just retarded, but
it was.
Noise is to my man Rock Raider.
Raider.
Oh man, you can suck my dick. Like when he did that shit. If you haven't seen that, please go watch that.
I have that saved in my YouTube favorites. Noise is just insane.
He was retarded, but 97, watching A-Track at 15 years old.
Yeah.
Almost, I posted that about a couple weeks ago saying, yo, this video here almost made me quit back then. At 15, and we were like 16 and 17 at the time, my hands were still too heavy to do what that little kid did.
Yeah. And
then again, speaking into the ageism thing in hip hop, A-Track is still doing his thing.
Still
killing it with what's his label, Ian? Was it
Fool's
Gold?
Gold.
Fool's Gold.
Fool's
Fool's
Gold.
Gold.
Yeah,
Fool's Gold.
still touring the world with Kanye and all these. Come
Yeah.
on now,
Yeah.
this
Armand
culture
Van
is
Helden
everlasting.
doing
Yeah.
the duck sauce
For
stuff.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do remember though them old. Remember how they used to have like the displays of talent in the old tapes, and there was that one dude who was doing cuts on the reel to reel and scratching on the
Yes.
reel to
Yeah.
reel.
Yeah.
Fucking insane.
Yeah.
Crazy. I don't
What
even
was
know
your
how.
favorite, Ian? Before you go, what was your favorite?
My favorite. I don't. It's been a while, so I got to go back to those. But
Yeah, you
there
consume
there,
those
there, was,
media too.
there was a regional I recall, and it was DJ Dummy in the New York
Oh
City
man.
regional.
Hmm.
And I just remember what he was going up against, but his routine is just it was one of those that stuck with me. And it's funny that I bring him up because he actually released the album today with Moon Moon Fresh.
Word.
Yeah.
Oh man. You
Crazy.
can learn a
He,
lot
he,
from a
he,
dummy.
he's yep.
Yeah, remember all the crazy shit that DJ Swamp used to do on the tapes too?
Oh
Yeah.
man. Swamp was crazy.
Yeah, I'm
Dude.
sorry, Ben. Yo, we don't get to talk to DJs too much.
No, that's why. That's why I wanted to. I did another album similar to this in 2013 with DJ Los from Detroit. He's actually the first person to ever put out a rap record from Detroit, and he's still doing. He's actually had a major resurgence the last 15 years, and he's doing going on tour, and he did a record with me called 7 Days. The whole album, he cut on every track. And Los is kind of a legend. And just talking about DJs, it's very regional. Like we had DJ Head, Shoes, DJ Q, and then of course in Detroit, you're talking about house DJs. Of course in Detroit, it was techno DJs. You had Derek,
Right.
we had the Belleville Four, we had the Saunderson and Mays and Carl Craig and all them. So we would see that plus hip hop DJs. So it's very DJ sets and DJ styles are very regional, and you didn't see a lot of turntablism per se in Detroit. You know what I mean? You was more how you were mixing the records and and who was dropping something that something that no one had heard of.
Right.
Who could get the reaction from the crowd, right? When you drop something and just like what, and the crowd goes just nuts. That's also a skill that DJs
Oh, most definitely.
have, and it's a skill, right? And what we're talking about is this, and what we're talking about here is the skill of DJing. And that's why we need things like podcasts like this, long format podcasts where you talk to people who are veterans, so people understand how important that is to the culture. And that's why I wanted to do another album, because you don't have a lot. You have very few DJ MC albums anymore. You have producer and MC albums, but you number one, you don't have albums that are long format, that are sequenced in a certain way around. We have interludes on the album where I'm like, you need just go do your thing on that, cut it up. That's you. So on our album, there's an intro, there's two interludes and an outro. I picked the sequence a certain way. I know people don't listen to albums, but I don't care. I wanted to put it together as a cohesive, thematic album. That's how I write too. I'm very thematically. I think thematically. I think conceptually, and that's how I approach pretty much every project. So, and I wanted to have this discussion. I want this discussion to happen. I want it to go forward, and that dudes like Omar can tell his story, because you're already learning. I'm already learning stuff that I didn't know.
Nice,
right?
nice. Well, I could tell. We're gonna get into the album in a minute, I'm sure, but I can tell with this album, I could tell the concepts. You tapped into where we kind of came up in. Like I said, the album was what, 13 tracks, right? With an intro, like intro, couple interludes, and the outro, which was all scratches by Archives. And the vibe of the album is just like the the word and the phrase that I gave this album personally, because I was listening to it about an hour before we started. Your vibe on this album was very like the yacht rock equivalent to hip hop.
Okay. Shout
I'll
out to
take
Michael
that.
McDonald.
I'll take that. I'll take
You know,
that.
and I
Y'all
don't
be there.
and I don't say that in a disrespectful way, because it literally brought me to your place of not saying putting on boat shoes, but definitely putting on the bucket hat and just doing what I do right now, outside chilling with a cigar and just laying back and just listening to your poetry. Because again, the way you delivered your rhymes on this album, you said you weren't, but Ian, I think you could almost agree. It felt like we were listening to a poet on a beat.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
I
absolutely
definitely,
right.
I think of things from a story perspective and how to I like to play. I just like words. You know, I've always liked words. I'm a teacher. I like teaching writing. I wanted to be a writer. So words are fascinating for me. You know, what do we say? It's all it really is wordplay.
And on that point right there, because you mentioned that earlier too, the thought that came to my head also off listening to the album was, I can tell when you mention words are important, because what you didn't do that I noticed was you didn't do like what battle rappers do and stretch words and flip words into multiple meanings. That no, you gave us what it is. You said and enunciated the words clear as day, so there's no trying to stretch it to make it fit and force a rhyme into another word that didn't fit.
Yeah, I think MCs that appeal to me have never been the ones who are trying to do the verbal tricks, the double, triple time, how many syllables I write, I go from this rhyme and this, how many syllables I can fit in here. I appreciate, you know, Pasta Noose is probably my favorite MC. I've never heard Pasta Noose do a triple time, double time. I've never heard him. He can be abstract, as obviously, because where you have to think about what he's saying, but where he comes from is a sincere place rather than a forced stylistic place, and I appreciate that. Like even today, when I think of an MC, I like YOD. He's the same way. He says funny shit, but he's not gimmicky. In my opinion, that doesn't appeal to me. He's very straightforward, but very witty, and his writing skills are really good. And you know, he doesn't have to try to be gimmicky. He can come straight forward because he's smart, and he can deliver. And so that's the kind of MC I've always appreciated, is that can come off without gimmicks and you still are like, I'm all in on this, right? I can feel this. I don't need the gimmicks. Their delivery and their storytelling and their metaphors and the way they deliver their wordplay is so good that you don't have to have gimmicks. It's just
Right.
And one of the things also I could tell, because you mentioning Paz the News, perfect. Ooh, excuse me, y'all. Perfect example to where I was able to tell your influence when you mentioned De La Soul and the 3 Feet High and Rising. Because one thing that Paz does, it's when he rhymes, he builds a rhyme scheme, and then also mid-track will pretty much, this little 8-bar scheme or maybe stretch it to 9, but that 9th bar caps that off and then starts in another pattern and rhymes, and then it caps off. And it's not always a consistent, every bar fits to the next one, to the next one. Like him, I was able to tell that within your writing and the way you delivered it, because like him, and even like one of my all-time favorites, Rest Easy Doom, like,
yeah,
you didn't do what Doom did, where Doom fits rhymes in between sentences that it's like, holy, like he gives you that replay factor, but Paz does the same thing. And this album that we're gonna get into, with starting off with Ian, it does the same thing, because it's just that cool out vibe. It's that chill, almost lo-fi, but not really lo-fi type of just chill, cool out vibe, and and just it just lets you put your feet up type of thing. But
Yeah, I
let's
think
shout out this comment real quick before Ian goes. It says, Ian was good, my baby boy. I told you I would tune in. My legs were literally shaking from the back rub you gave me last week. Hey,
Oh.
yo.
How's that?
He said, I can't wait. Wow. Hey, yo,
Okay.
pause all of that,
What?
Trav.
I don't even know, man.
Pause all of that, but Ian, go ahead.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yo,
Milk duds, yo.
that's for another podcast.
That's for the
I
show.
can't wait to
after this.
tickle your milk dud again,
That's-
man. What the fuck?
That show doesn't start until midnight. This is the family friendly show.
Hey, I don't think he knew that this was going to be on blast either.
Is he on the right podcast?
Yeah, right.
That is
He'd be doing fucking OnlyFans shows on my account and don't even tell me.
right. You got a couple of hours before that show starts.
Only hip hop fans.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Yo, fellas, I'm sorry, but I have to get out of here. I gotta go get ready to make these donuts, man.
All right, well, we'll let the people know where they can find you before you bounce.
Instagram, DJ Archives, Twitter, the same, the DJ Archives. Of course, on Facebook, Omar Caldwell, or just look up Archives, DJ Archives. Man, I'm lurking around HHDG all the time. I'm never that far.
And I still owe you a picture from 2015. I still owe you that. I still have it. It's my bad. It's all my fault, but I still have that picture. I still owe you the picture.
Don't even trip, man.
And we need to start the GoFundMe so he can quit his job and we can go on tour.
Oh,
there you go.
So let's set that off right now because you don't know how hard I had to work on him to get this album done.
He was too busy designing PS5 skins.
It was rough, man. I'm an essential worker, so I didn't have any breaks last year.
I had all the breaks.
Okay.
Yeah,
I had
quarantine. I had no days off. It was actually like more. So
go get paid. We'll deal with you the next time. We'll do a part two.
Definitely. We'll do
part two.
Thanks for having me.
All right, bro.
All right,
all right, Omar.
Peace, man.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, Ian. It's on you.
Yeah, to continue with that, when you mentioned De La Soul being one of the influences, the first person I thought of was Paz. And like I mentioned previously before, you also remind me of Von P, of Tanya Morgan. You have that same cadence.
Yeah, both of those guys are.
Did you just say cadence, not cadence?
Yes, I did.
He said cadence.
Well, yeah, they're both pretty. Like I said, they're not gimmicky rhymers, right? Both of those guys.
Yep.
They keep it. I guess it's kind of like they keep it simple yet complex. Because what they're talking about is they're letting their words and cadence speak for them without having to rely on a gimmick. And that's like I've said, that's what I look at an MC. That's my favorite kind of MC. I'm just not that impressed with a lot of stuff going on and double times, and it just doesn't appeal as much to me as somebody who can think through what they're saying and just deliver something and that's cohesive and thought provoking and interesting. That's always what I've been drawn to. Like Dell's kind of like he's got a very specific, intricate style of his own, but it's not. I don't think it's gimmicky. It's just very. It's very Dell-centric. Let's put it that way. Who else rhymes like him? Who else has the same style? You just can't. You can't really duplicate that because he's in his own lane, right?
Yeah.
So those are the MCs I appreciate.
Yeah, word up.
Yeah. Now, with almost all of your projects, you always have that jazz influence on there.
Yeah.
Tell us about a little bit of what you like out of jazz.
What I like out of, I mean, you know, we're all from pretty much the same. We're pretty much the same generation, so we came up on pops records and hard bop, right? So I like Coltrane. I like I like the Jazz Messengers. I like all that good stuff. And I like the sound that came out when I was, coming up, the golden age. So I like Ahmad Jamal. I like, but I like contemporary jazz too, Kamasi Washington, artists like that. I just I think I have a if I'd like to pick a sample, I like jazz flute. I don't know what it is about that. Jazz piano, jazz flute. Those are always good samples to me. But I've kind of tried to get into some more of the psych rock, and I also like Edon. He's one of my favorite producers. I like the prog rock and psych rock samples. I mean, I definitely I definitely prefer sample based hip hop than anything else, for sure.
You said jazz flute.
Jazz flute.
That's why I said this has that yacht rock vibe. It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is I don't know what it is about jazz flute, but that's like my favorite. If I have a producer friend, I'd be like, yeah, I found this. What can you sample this? Jazz flute.
Got to sample that Ron Burgundy off the Anchorman.
There you go. Bobby Humphrey. Yeah,
nice.
All good stuff.
No
doubt. And coming up in Detroit too, we you got Donald Byrd, of course, Cass Tech alum, and probably the Joy. You all know the Joy Road record. That's probably one of my favorite jazz records of all time. Strata East, that was a Detroit label, right? Amazing stuff on there. The BBC Records is putting out a lot of their old stuff. It was pretty limited run, so they're rerunning a lot of that stuff. But I try to. I think Detroit is gonna always influence me heavily. Dilla, of course, changed my whole perspective on hip hop when Slum dropped. I mean, that shit. It was amazing what we just sit there and vibe out. I used to work at this little store called Spectacles. It's been in Detroit forever. And it was like a clothes store. We'd sell retail, and I'd pop in the tape. People would come through, just go nuts. That feeling when that came out, I just that's one of the most seminal moments of music for me is Fantastic Volume 1. Just amazing what he did.
Bringing up Detroit again, though, I got to go off a quick aside off of the music for a second. Everybody from Detroit mentions Cass Tech. What is so special about this damn school?
Well, Cass Tech is for one, is the biggest. It was the biggest school in the city. So there's 5, 6, I don't know, thousands of people who went there, and you had to test in to get there. I didn't go to school in the city. I went to school in the suburbs, but there's the Cass Tech was kind of considered the premier school. That's where a lot of the Motown people went. You had to test in to get there, so it was considered prestigious, and it was right downtown, so it was huge, 5 stories, so you could see it from everywhere, and it was one of probably the main school that was downtown that everyone could see, and that was the school that people it's considered a prestigious school because you had to test in to get there. So Cass Tech versus Renaissance. Renaissance was one of those other testing schools. I know you got schools like that in New York where you had to test it, and so that was kind of it. That was just the premier high school in Detroit. And a lot of people, like Jack White came out of there. I think Diana Ross went there. I mean, so many people went to Cass Tech. Donald Byrd taught there. So it's just Philin Gaines, the composer.
Greg Filling Gaines. Yep.
Yeah, he went there. He went to and I went to Wayne State. He went to Wayne State too. So
Hmm.
it's just everybody went to Caltech.
Gotcha. I had to ask. We're gonna come back
Yeah.
to more Detroit stuff once the music part is a little bit done, because we are both sports heads too. So we'll get there in a second.
Word.
Now let's talk about the producers you have on this album, because the core producers that you have on here, you've worked with time and time again on other projects, and they always provide the sound that always works with you.
Mm-hmm. So, the guy I've been working with the longest is Olos Solomon. He's a guy from Detroit. Did he go to Caltech? He might have, but I've been working with him for at least 10 years. He's another sample-based artist. I've always liked his sound. We did a whole album together. Like I said, 7 days with DJ Los. But actually, on this one, I worked with Mom Placebo. He's a dude he lives in Florida, but I think he's from Queens, and he's kind of got that. He's definitely got that boom bap type sound. I worked with him on the Denny's project, and this one, I already recorded a couple more tracks with his beats. So that's a little more of a recent collab. But I've known him for a while. I knew him when I lived in Florida. We went to do some digging out in Florida. So he's a really good dude. He's got a Immobilarity. He's got a YouTube station. So he does record reviews and stuff like that. So. And then someone I've been working with a lot recently is Beatnik Classics, dude out of Rhode Island, but he lives also in Florida. I don't know what all this Florida man shit is, but
that's New York part too, also.
Right. Everybody they all end up in Florida, so people are transplants to Florida. But I'm still questioning whether somebody who actually originates in Florida can put out a decent hip hop album. We'll see. But yeah, Beatnik he's got so many beats. Like he's just got, oh my God, this guy has beats on beats, and he's just got folders of beats. So he's very prolific, and he's got a really good ear, and makes some really soulful jams, and he's a really good dude too. So I've appreciated getting to know him over the last couple of years. And then TNV did a joint. I went to high school with TNV. He does puts out a lot of stuff. Anyone else? Oh yeah, Keith Box. He's a producer out of Detroit too. He's kind of I think he's doing a little more experimental trap based stuff recently. So but he that beat I had it sat on for a long time. I had that for a while now. Been waiting for a project to put it on. Anyone else? Oh, and of course, O'Kang. I've been working that's my dude right there. Another Detroit producer and MC. And O'Kang used to be, but we all know Leif Erikson, and we know his crew, Buttermade Records. So Leif and his, O'Kang was part of Buttermade affiliation. Just a dope producer, great ear, great MC, dope guy. And he worked with me, did a lot of verses on my albums, and we worked on Recycled. He did the mix and master on there, and he just kind of is retired because he's he's got babies and got to feed the babies. So unfortunately that happens, right? We got to sometimes move on from the music. And then Pimpernel Jones is another guy I've been working with for a while. He's out of Portsmouth in UK, and he is a sound engineer, DJ, and producer. Really dope. I mean, that's what he does for a living. So he is he's a sound engineer. So if you go on the line, you see a lot of stuff that he's been involved with, a lot of engineering of you know, a lot of soul artists, a lot of rappers from the UK, and you know, he was on a label for a while. He puts out an instrumental record every year, and he's a really dope DJ too. So he's a very well-rounded artist, and easy to work with. You know, that's one thing I've learned as I've gotten older. I got to find people that are easy to work with because I don't have time for the bullshit. I got a job and kids and all that stuff. So
100%. It's the only way it should go.
Yeah, but it's not like that. Not at all. So I've kind of closed my circle a little as far as who I work. I'm just trying to do things. I want to get things out that I want to say, and you know, like I've worked with like Self Says. He's probably one of my favorite MCs out of the Detroit area. He lives in Philly now. I haven't collabed with I didn't collab with anyone except Omar on this last one or on the Denny's track. And this new album, I didn't collab with any other MCs either. So I'm just like, I'm putting my stuff out, you know, and just putting my voice out there, good or bad, whatever. Gonna have to live off of me, not on my collab. So like, you know, I collab with Intricate Dialects, another guy from Detroit, Abolitionist Crew. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he did Kemet. I used to try to hit up a lot of people and do a lot of collabs, but I'm kind of like, nah, I'm just trying to put out my own things, get my thoughts out and do my own thing. I would like to do another one with Omar though, but that was not easy getting this done, boy. It was not easy.
No, but it sounds like your main interest in what you do is the just MC and say one producer, or like on this album a host of beat makers. But I guess you like to it's just you as the MC and that's it. Like you get your thoughts out is pretty much what you're saying, and not mixing up and mashing up with a lot of other people.
I mean, I have every other album I've had quite a few collabs, like I've said, lots. I did a collab with Sinuous on What Starts Today. Sinuous is out of SoCal. He's done a lot of stuff. Dope producer, dope MC. It's not anything against anyone. It's just the fact that I just have stuff I want to get out, and I don't want to wait. I don't want to do. I just want it out there.
Right.
Good or bad, sales, no sales, whatever happens. I just feel like I have stuff to say, and if I want it to be out, I got to put. I'm waiting. I don't want to wait. I just want to put it out when I want to put it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, and then of course this last album for the Bowling League joint, we got it on Chopped Herring too. They put it out on CD, which was really dope because you know, Chopped Herring's for underground heads. It's a well-known label, and they put out a lot of stuff from artists that either kind of disappeared from memory, or from artists that have, you know, like B-sides and stuff that you may not have heard. He put out J-Zone stuff, and he was the first one to put Action Bronson on wax, and he put out some YOD stuff, you know, just so many different things. And Bob's I know Ian has chatted with Bob probably online. He's a really good guy, and he was really supportive. So, which makes me feel good because, you know, that's somebody who's been in the game for a long time. He's had a label for 20 years. How many people have done that? So to get that off and to have that happen.
Well, last week's guest. I'm sorry. I feel like I cut you off. My apologies.
No, go ahead.
No, I said sorry. I felt like I cut him off by accident. No, I was gonna say last week's guest, Ian, Nejma and Napoleon, also fellow Chopped Herring.
Yep. He put out Napoleon the Legend and the Najemi Nefertiti joint. He put out both. He's put out both albums from both of them. Yeah, he does. He did a whole Queen series back in like 2015, where he put out a bunch of Queens artists and New York artists. So yeah, Bob Bob does his thing. Like I didn't even realize till I really sat down and looked at what he's putting stuff out every month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's really dedicated to it, and you know, he does it with the cassette, CDs, and vinyl only. So he's got a niche audience it's pretty dope. So, and again, these are people, like I said, that are kind of keeping the culture alive, right?
This is the people that we need.
Yeah, and just having discussions, like I said, and having these podcasts are keeping the culture alive, and talking about the craft of DJing and producing and MCing is important, because it's not just a throwaway culture, right? It's an art form, and it takes thought, and it takes dedication, and it takes time, and it takes money, and it takes growth, right? Because it's something that you got to keep working at. So I appreciate, you know, you as Ian, especially with putting out artists that might not get the exposure, and you know, just dedicating a lot of your life to putting artists out there that you think deserve some shine, because it's hard to break through all this clutter right now. We all know that. It's hard to get your foot into some sort of into the door, or just to get noticed with the amount of content that there is out there. So any little bit helps, and we all got to kind of help each other and support each other. So
yep.
Yeah.
So
even
oh, my bad. Go ahead, Ian.
I was going to say on even with Napoleon the Legend, he was talking about even in underground scene now, there's starting to be a separation of the elite underground and the others, and how things are going with that as well. So yeah, we definitely need, you know, people like us to push out for those artists that out there that need to be heard.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many artists out there. It's so saturated, but I guess you can't think about it like that. If that's what discourages, you know. I mean, we gotta keep putting out stuff we love, and regardless of, I guess, the outcome per se, the sales or whatever you want, hits and likes and all that. You gotta, if you still got to do it just for I guess for the culture, right? Keep moving ahead and keep doing putting stuff out there that you care about and that comes from your heart, and that's important to you, and hopefully eventually that audience will be there.
I think also too with today's music and the way the streaming culture works, it would almost behoove artists to not put out a lot of work in some respects in any way, shape, or form, because unfortunately streaming only pays pennies on the dollar. And you know, some people, you know, you get the select few that they got to get that creative juices flowing and influence to want to even put out. But then when we was talking to like G4 Jag and those brothers like that, you mentioned somebody like Flea Lord who put out an album a month, and it was quality stuff. But it's like, if you think about it, if you want to get paid in some way, shape, or form in these times with streaming, you got to kind of be heavily consistent nowadays.
Not the guy for him. Well, how many albums he put out? 500.
Yeah, right.
I'm not even playing. He's put out like 500 albums.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot. I mean, even look at, think about YOD. Just bring it back to him. He put out, you know, he dropped his first one, and he didn't really come out, and now all of a sudden he's got what, 3 albums a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and what you see, and I think this is smart though, is you got guys like the guy Fahim and Makami and YOD. They're kind of you're forming coalitions to be able to support each other's music and keep your name out there and keep putting out music, which in itself is, like you said, it's, I mean, when we were coming up, you were lucky to get an album every 2 years.
Yep,
right?
That's true.
Yep.
You're like, and then you would be waiting for that announcement. Oh, they're about to drop. You got that De La album every You got one in 89, one in 91, one in 93, one in 96, right? You got Tribe in what, 88, 91, 93, and 96. And then of course 98, but I don't know if we need to talk about that one. But but I'm just saying you'd be lucky if you got an album every 2 to 3 years, and now
right.
A lot of artists get an album every month.
But also too though, the way recording was back then,
exactly.
The creative process though, it did take these artists 2 to 3 years to fully construct a 13-track project, because time, money, cutting of tape and things like that, to where nowadays it's literally just send a file, drop a file, go. Send a file, do whatever, mix quick, go. And it's that much easier. It's that much easier.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. If you want to get revenue and to actually, if you want to actually make a living, you have to have constant content, because the content means you get the streams, and then you can actually, maybe you can make a living off that. I don't know. I don't know if they're making a living off that or not, but I understand where they're coming from, and with the ability, I don't know if that. I mean, there are some artists that seem to be able to put out quality content and put out a lot of material. Makami and YOD and Fahim are those kind of people. Alchemist puts out a lot of material, and it's it's quality material, but it's not easy.
Right. But a person like yourself though, like if you had the time, resources, I mean, I'm sure you would like to dedicate a little bit of that too. But as you said, quality, and the quality that I want you to speak to is the path and the journey that this album takes, the Bowling League album takes. Like what was the theme that you wanted to hit with this album?
So I don't know if you listen. I mean, I know you've listened to it, but that album was written right before the pandemic and during the pandemic, and it was also. So I think some of it was also influenced by like the first track. I reference a lot what was going on with the social, the marches and the protests that were going on, because that really moved me, and it was also and also the way life was just it was like a loop of the same thing over and over again, going to the grocery store, coming home, sitting on the couch, waiting. So I have that group that by time track has a lot to do with that. And then, I just hit on some, like I have the Don't Pull It track. There's some political stuff going on, a little bit veiled, a little bit ambiguous, but you can kind of get the gist of where I'm coming from. So it was heavily influenced by the pandemic. It was influenced by coming out here to Cali. I have a track on there called Procrastination, right? I mean, I'm good at that.
I think we all are to
a rule, but just I guess I just rap about life stuff, and I'm not gonna. Let's just put it this way: I don't do like I'm not gonna rap about selling drugs. I don't know anything about that. I'm not gonna rap about stuff I don't know about, and I'm gonna stick to topics that are meaningful to me, that are kind of about what's going on in my life, or what I'm watching or what I'm reading, and then I like to also include some humor and some topical issues too. So that's kind of where I think I thought of it thematically too, though. I started thinking about okay, so I started talking to Omar. I had recorded the first 2 tracks. I recorded Don't Pull It and listened to the flute play, and then I hit up Omar. I was like, yo, I'm off. I have like months off now. I have like a 2 months off. I'm like, how do you feel about doing this project? And he's like, yeah, I'm down. That sounds good. And I came up with that bowling league, again, the bowling league name for the group because of, we're 40-something-year-old dudes. Why aren't we in the bowling league? We're still doing hip hop. That's why. So, he was down and we started I just kind of was throwing him. I picked out all the beats and I started sending him stuff like, okay, let's use these as instrumentals. What kind of ideas are you coming up with? So he started picking out samples and we started playing with the sequencing of the songs and it just kind of built around that. And then I put it together kind of like the intro 3 tracks, interlude 3 tracks, another 3 tracks, outro. So that was very purposeful. And I tried to group those 3 tracks somewhat thematically. If you look at the first one, the first 3 are kind of, I don't know, about just everyday life issues. Just Magic is kind of more of a positive track, just being, that there is things to look forward to in life, even in a pandemic and everything else. We still got to find that magic in life. And then the first track, the DJ Calcei on the mic, DJ Archives on the cut, I had a lot of references to what was going on in the streets at the time. And then the next 3 tracks were more of like kind of like I guess you could say related to time or dreams or kind of ethereal stuff. We got By Time and then the Dream for Calcei, and those were kind of more a little more abstract, I suppose. And then the last 3, I guess I kind of put those together. Just West Y'all was kind of just like a party, kind of just like a fun track. And then Don't Pull It, I guess, was a little more political, but it was kind of dreamy, hazy. And then just listen to the flute play was about listening to flutes play, I guess. Just about an everyday life situation.
Your favorite flute?
Yeah, that's what I asked. I asked Pimpernel Jones. I say, hey, can you? I need a track with flute. And that actually is live flute. That's his Peoples who did that. That's a live flute on that one. So that's one of his people. Yeah. So I can't remember the name of the musician, but that is like actually his dude who did that. So that's a live sample on that track. Yeah, and so I just had to push Archives through. Archives works 28 hours a day, and once I got the news, I started communicating with Bob, and he was interested in putting the record out. I'm like, look, man, we got to get this done. So I kept pushing him to finish, and eventually we got there. It took over a year to put it all together and get it mixed and mastered and finished. With my studio closing because of COVID and finding a new studio, with some issues with mixing and mastering, with life and everything else, but we got there, and I like how it turned out. So I would, and ideally, I'd like to do more projects with Omar because I think it's a good team. I think we make a good team. I think we have a good sound together, and I think we need more of those kind of records coming out that are MC DJ based. Because I don't know. Do you see many anymore? I don't hardly ever see any.
No, I mean, there's not too many of them out there.
You might get a track with some cuts on the hook once in a while now, but you don't get a whole album with that has a DJ as the main focus. And I think that part of the culture is definitely getting lost, especially with the cuts and scratches.
Yeah,
it's definitely getting lost.
And when you do see it, it's usually the same DJs, which I normally see is a DJ TMB, Grasshopper, John Doe from Southern Vanguard Radio. I've been seeing his name a lot on credits.
Yeah, I saw.
I mean, it's pretty much the same people. DJ Eclipse.
Yeah.
Tone Spliff. Yeah, it's pretty much the same people, but like you were saying, that there's no MC DJ.
No, not where you have cuts, and that's why I thought our album was. I think the sound is pretty unique for now, for right now. I don't know how many. Like I said, though, you do have the way it's sequenced. You do have to put. You really need to listen to it in sequence. I don't know how many people don't like to do that nowadays, but that's the way it's set up. And that's why I'm really glad. That's when I started giving, I gave Bob the demos. That's when I really started saying, okay, this is going to be on CD. I want this to be a cohesive project from beginning to end. And I'm like, so because his listeners, the people who do buy from Chopped Hearing, those are the people that want to hear a project, because they're going to buy a cassette, they're going to buy a CD, they're going to buy a vinyl. So they're down. They want to hear a project. So I said, well, I'm going to make this a actual, I want this to be a fully realized, thematically produced, cohesive project, because it's going to come out on CD. Now, does that translate so well to the streaming world that it's on now? Most people go through 5 tracks maybe at the most. So, but that's all right. I'm happy that it came out on CD, and I'm glad it came out on Chopped Hearing, because I think it's a good label for us to be working with. So props to Bob. And that's another thing with him, is he's not, he works with, doesn't matter, he's not looking at age, he's just looking at what he likes.
Mm-hmm.
He has the luxury to do that because of where he is, and that's pretty dope. So
that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then one thing we haven't spoke about with the album is the artwork.
Yeah.
Because
and on the shirt, t-shirt.
Yes, and on the t-shirt as well. Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, which the CD and the link for the t-shirt is on HHDG Media.
Word. Okay, good. Yeah, my that's Motor City Athletics. You can get the t-shirt, but this is my good friend Carrie Jameson. She is a graphic designer here in SoCal. We met in Detroit though, so she went to Center for Creative Studies, which is an excellent art school in the city of Detroit. She is a professional graphic designer, so she's hooked up about 3 or 4 of my album covers, but this one, so I wanted the kind of a retro feel, which I think she hit. 70s bowling alley feel. So I think she did a great job. I think the color scheme looks great. The title looks great. She's really talented. She's a dope person, and I appreciate her because that if I didn't know her, trust me, I'd be coming out big time out of the pocket. So I appreciate her a lot, because she's lent her talents to my projects. But again, that's you have to keep a close circle and realize people who are actually there to support you, and that you will support them. So she is definitely someone I'm down to support. And I would say, if hit her up if you want a cover or some graphics for your project. If you're looking for something, Carrie Jameson, because she does a really good job. She's super dope. Yeah, some people are telling me we need to make actual bowling league shirts and start putting those up. So I guess that's something to think about. We thought about it if we could ever get on the road and do some shows, but that's going to be hard to organize with him out. I'm in NorCal and he's in Chicago, so the likelihood of that happening, I don't know. Maybe when we both win the lotto.
Yeah, you know what? Because I gotta add that there's one little sample that y'all missed on this album. I gotta put this on you.
I know what it's gonna be.
You know right where I'm going. There's one sample you forgot to put on this album. Is this right here?
A strike to claim it. And he got it!
You forgot this.
I know. So, people already told me. Why didn't you put that on there?
Pete Weber.
Why didn't you put that on there? I know. That should have been like one of the interludes, the whole interlude. The whole interlude.
Things that make no sense. Who do you think you are? I am. That should be the name. That's the name of part 2 for y'all. That's the name of part 2.
That's true. If we do the next one, that's got to be on there.
No, but that's the name of the album. Who do you think you are?
The Bowling League. Who do you think you are?
There you go. There you go.
That's it.
We'll tell Omar later. We'll tell Omar later. That's round 2.
No doubt. We'll have to do that. We got that. That'll have to happen. I think
Definitely.
I think that's a must.
Yeah, for sure. Good show. Ode to Pete Weber.
No doubt.
On the album What Starts Today, you made a track for your love of bucket hats called Bucket Hat On, which actually had DJ Archives on there.
That was the first track we did together. Yeah, that's that track. That actually got some TikTok play. I was like, "What the?" You can go on TikTok and watch these little kids saying I got my bucket hat on. I was like, "What?" So yeah, I do love bucket hats. I do have I have a good deal of bucket hats, but I can't wear them now. Not in 109 degrees. I can't cover my ears. I got to cover my head though, because it's like bald. So I pretty much don't come out of the house without a hat. But the bucket hats are for the winter. In Detroit, it was super easy because bucket hats could be all year, pretty much, except once it got real hot in the summer. But yeah, just that one I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get some cuts on the hook for this one for sure. But yeah, I was just talking shit on there about other MCs who wear bucket hats. We got the Kangos, we got Rakim, we got EPMD, of course. They had theirs, but my bucket hat game was much stronger, of course. So yeah, that was a fun track. I think people like that one.
Yeah. And where did that love of bucket hats come from?
Where did the love of bucket hats come from? So, I mean, it came from hip hop culture, no doubt. That was where I started. I had a lot of them back in the, early 90s. And then I kind of got out of the bucket hat thing. And then I guess I like this brand called Engineered Garments, and they make a lot of bucket hats. So I started buying from them and just buying engineered garment bucket hats, and I just kept buying more and more. And then of course so every picture on Facebook I'd put out with my bucket hat and throwing up my peace sign. So I guess I'm like, oh, I gotta get a song for this now. So yeah, so I mean, everything, so much of everything I guess I do is so rooted in hip hop culture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was a kid, like I said, I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, right outside of Detroit. But I don't think I would have taught in the schools in Detroit public if it wasn't for hip hop, because I started going to the shelter and experiencing hip hop and making friends in the community. And my love of Detroit grew from experiencing hip hop. So, and then I wouldn't have met my wife either, because I met her in Detroit public schools. So if it wasn't for hip hop, I wouldn't have taught there. I wouldn't have met my wife. And my kids are a product of hip hop too, I'd say. So, hip hop and hip hop culture has definitely been a huge and heavy influence on my life for decades since I was 14 and before that, even before that. So
I think it's been a part of all of our lives. And
yeah.
I would say the bucket hat was my thing for a little bit too, but in high school, but not really on those hats. We used to call them the Jizza hats because he was rocking the videos and shit. So we used to go get them from the Army Navy store. We used to get those.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
used
the
to get
Army
food.
Navy store was after Mobb Deep came out and Wu-Tang, I was a regular at the Army Navy store. Come on now.
Facts.
Come on.
That bucket hat and that we
The
used to
Army
call
hat, the green
hats,
Army hat.
Yeah, we used to call those the Jizza hats, the one that had the flat panel across the front.
Yes. And the camo pants with the you got to get those. Yep. I mean, spent a lot of time there. But of course, did you all rock the goggles at all? I had the ski goggles too. Don't forget
Yeah,
about
we did
those.
that. Yep. Got them to the side.
I know.
The goggles,
Oh yeah.
the ski goggles. When they put
goggles.
out the ones that were like this, the little thin ski
Uh-huh.
goggles that look like swimming goggles. I used to do dumb shit though. I'm not even gonna say all of the trends. I used to fucking do pacifiers, and then
Oh no.
pacifiers, I was
pacifiers.
in here walking around. I used to walk around with the toothbrush in my mouth, like.
Okay. Well, at least you had good clean teeth. That was good.
There you go.
Very very hygienic. I don't see those goggles coming back though. I haven't seen anyone wearing that.
Nope. That gets another.
Especially the big ass. Remember the big? You have the small ones, like with the. Then you'd have the real ski mask.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then the gator mask too.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Wow. We've seen some stuff. But yeah. So yeah, I guess I'm hoping that we can come together again. I think we make a good team, and hoping when we can find that time in our lives. And what I'd really like is to find somebody to work with to do some visuals, because honestly, I've never done any videos. I put out tons of content without videos, and it's hard though because we moved around a lot the last 7 years. We've been moving from state to state, so it's really easy to make music now when you're continents away. You could just obviously just send a MP3 and record and send it back and get it mixed and mastered. But putting out a video that that actually is quality is a whole different story. So that's something I would like to do, is start doing some more visuals. So that's something.
Well, if you could, if y'all could ever make it happen to where we can get there, you have a team right here with myself, T. Smith. You need videos done. That, or just put the call out in the group, man. Like, again, though we are a group of fuckery as far as the hip hop discussion group,
yeah.
as you know, obviously this was the meeting place. It's a wealth of talent too.
Yeah, it is.
It is a huge wealth of talent. So definitely just put the word out there. But again, you can look to us too if you ever need that. If we can make those travel arrangements happen in some sort of a way, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, there's so many tracks I'd like to do visuals for, but I just need to get with the right people that I can, I guess, trust to. I don't know. Is it even trust to just put it out the way I want it to be put out without ruining my retirement?
No, 100%. That's key. It's key. Trust me. I'm all with you on that retirement money. I think we all three of us have something we can retire from. So
that's the issue right now too. Is like, what do I invest in the music? I'm like, we still got to look to the future too. So it's always a balancing act, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I'm good.
Yes, sir.
Got anything else for me?
You froze, Ian.
No, I said I'm good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, and this has been dope.
Yeah, for sure.
We already got part 2, so this one we didn't roll no gutter balls as this episode was announced. Next one we gotta do a part 2, but we gotta definitely get with the inspiration to get y'all to do the Bowling League Part 2.
Man, I'm down. I'm ready. I will be done. We got to work on, I'm telling you, we need to start the GoFundMe, the give Omar a 6 months off of work GoFundMe so he can do he can do music, because
That's right.
he needs to. He's a dope DJ. He's a good guy too, a real dope guy, and it'd be nice to see artists like him to be able to rock with their talents and not have to worry about working 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man.
So,
absolutely. I
We're
can't.
gonna put it out there.
I'm with you. I can't wait to get to retirement in another 5 years or so myself, because then once that happens, like you said, it's full steam ahead of not working for nobody else and just doing what I want to do. My kids will be good, and hopefully we'll get the Bowling League too.
We're gonna
Who
get
do you
there.
think you are?
Oh, but I do have another project that I'm pretty much done with that should be coming out probably this summer. It's going to be called American Splendor. So I'd say that'll be out. I think I could get that out by August. That's definitely a more political joint. It's actually a two sides. I'm trying to get it on vinyl. Got the American side and the Splendor side. So the American side is kind of political. The Splendor side is more lighthearted, a little more comical and lighthearted. So I'm kind of doing the flip. That's why I'm thinking of it as a vinyl project, the A and the B side, American side and the Splendor side. So I will get with you all when that's done.
That definitely sounds good. And yeah, as soon as that's ready to go, man, come back to us. You know what to do. We already family here, and again, this is dope. First time seeing you on camera. Eventually, we'll get like some of our other brothers who fortunately had, and one of these days get with you in person, man. So yeah, man. I mean, just let the people know where they can find you, where they can find the music and everything else you've done.
Yeah, so I mean, so if the new project is available at on CD from Chop Heron Records, and everywhere else, it's on every streaming platform you can find it. I mean, of course, I prefer Bandcamp because as far as if you're gonna buy it, hit it up on Bandcamp and cop it there, because one sale on Bandcamp equals, I don't know, 40,000 streams on streaming platforms. No, maybe let's make that 2,000 or 3,000 streams. If I get one sale on Bandcamp, that equals about 3,000 streams. So, big up to Bandcamp. Thank goodness for that platform. But yeah, you can check all my albums on. Well, no. You can check about half of my albums on all streaming. The rest are all on Bandcamp. Calcei 1, Bandcamp. It's all on there. If you want the T-shirt, that's at Motor City Athletics. I think Ian put the link. So yeah, any support is appreciated, and I appreciate you all for giving us the opportunity to talk about this and talk about our project and our passions. And I'm glad that there's places like this now, because we get to hear from a lot of people that maybe no one would ever hear from. So,
yeah, true indeed. And Ian has definitely been putting in that work of artists we've never heard of, man. Just go through our archives and see the names, and it's like, who? But then when you get to listening to the shows, it's like, oh, this is why we support you, man. So we are definitely glad to be of service to all of y'all who need a platform to get their name and likeness out there and stuff. And yeah, this is what we're here for. This is what we're here to do, man. Talk to new and unheard of, unsigned artists and show love, man, and show people that, yeah, your hard work is actually paying off and is being displayed somewhere.
Right.
So definitely thank you for the big ups and the shout outs on that, man. And Ian, this was another dope one. You know what to do.
Shout out
again, bro. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Shout out our crew, HHDG Media. Got ourselves the mayor. myself, Wiki, sorry, Skelly Top, T Smith, Rock Vader KB, and the rest of the group. Y'all here. Saying peace.
Yes, sir. And y'all know where to find me, as you see on the screen there, at the Starter5_podcast. Follow us on Instagram at HHDG Media Inc. Make sure you hit up that HHDGmedia.com for the dope blogs that Ian put up. I got a few. I got maybe one or two up there because I'm not the best of writers, but when I'm inspired, I'm inspired. I get on and I get down. But definitely hit us up there. Get some of the HHDG merch. You can follow my site too, the star5podcast.com. Get this t-shirt here and other dope shirts and stuff. And yeah, man, make sure you hit up that Bandcamp of the Bowling League. Please, it's a must. Bandcamp definitely is the preferred site to make sure that you see the artists and the artists can see the fruits of their labor, go on and on and on. But again, if you can, stream it on all the other platforms too. Every little bit helps and counts. With that being,
run that shit. Play it. You can play it as many times as you want. I won't be mad.
There you go. There you go. There you go. And with that being said, for everybody mentioned, just the mayor, peace. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Thanks again. All right, man. Peace.
Peace.